Hi, I'm Lenora Bresler. Welcome to the January 26, 2017 edition of The Bible, Delight in the Details. Yes, I am doing this live toward the end of the day before because I am at the Gaylord Plaza Hotel in Orlando at the National Association of Women Business Owners Leadership Conference. And we are starting so early in the morning that I know that if I don't do this now, it won't get done until very late tomorrow. So we're going to do it now for tomorrow morning. On today's edition of the Bible, Delight in the Details, we are continuing with a multi-session series on how to study a Bible passage. And today we want to talk about the importance of names. We have talked about the importance of when things happened and where they happened. Now let's talk about the names of the people to whom they happened to. Names in the ancient world were considered very, very important. In fact, great care was taken over what to name a child because it was believed that the name almost set them up for what was going to be their fate and their characteristics. So today, we don't think like that. Today, most of us, we just like a name and we name our babies that. But in the era of the Old and New Testaments, it was truly believed that your name identified and represented your character, even to the point of that it was your destiny. Now, because of that, it's very interesting in the Bible that so often a person's name will be changed, often by God Himself. And the change almost always represents a break from one destiny to another one. Something significant happens and the person, it changes their whole life, their perspective, etc. And also, sometimes names give you a real good clue to what their ultimate destiny is going to be. Let's take a few examples. Well, first of all, let's talk about the most important name in the Bible, and that is Jesus. Jesus is actually Yeshua, which is the Greek version, if you will, of the Hebrew name Joshua. And Joshua actually means God saves. Now, interestingly, if you had to name the Son of God anything, and you wanted to name him something that would crystallize what his destiny was about, that would be it. God saves. Here's a few other examples. Moses, as Exodus tells us, literally means drawn out of the water. Now, of course, it refers to his beginnings as he was a Hebrew child, and in order to save him from the murderous edict of the Pharaoh to have all the boy children of the Hebrews killed, his mother put him in a basket, literally an ark, which is not a boat, but a box for protection, and sent him down the Nile. And you know the story. The Pharaoh's daughter found him and took him to raise as her own. And she's the one who actually named him Moses, meaning drawn out of the water, because that's how she got him. But how appropriate for his destiny, because what would he ultimately do? He would draw out of Egypt, out of bondage, an entire people of the Hebrews. And isn't it interesting that he would do it drawing himself and all those with him through the waters of the Red, or possibly the Reed Sea? Here's some other interesting names. You know that in the account of Jesus' crucifixion, it was the custom for Pilate to release a prisoner. So he asked, who would you like released, Jesus or Barabbas? Barabbas was a criminal. He appears to have been a zealot and a political, almost, I suppose they would call him a terrorist in that day. He was a bad dude. But interestingly, of course, the people chose to release Barabbas rather than Jesus. The name is fascinating, though, because Barabbas literally means, Bar means son of, and Abba means father, the son of the father. What an interesting switch. One son of a father being sacrificed for another son of the father. Not quite the same, of course, but it's absolutely fascinating, isn't it? Barnabas is known, his name literally means encourager. And when you read Acts, you see that that was what he was all about. He was an encourager of others, of other disciples, and he always was bringing people to Christ and later to other people, to other church fathers. How about this? Remember Naomi, Ruth's mother-in-law? You remember that she was very bitter, very upset upon the death of her 2 sons and her husband. And when she returned to her homeland, she did it with great bitterness in her heart. And she even said, "Don't call me Naomi anymore, call me Mara," which means bitter, and which actually also is the name of a location that was given to an area in the desert when Moses was leading the people to the promised land, and they were complaining about the care that they were getting, and it was they were complaining near a spring that had bitter water, and so it was known as Mara, that physical location also. How about names changing, such as Saul, a Jewish name, a rabbi, someone who was very well schooled, even a student of the famous Gamaliel rabbi teaching. And then when he had his Damascus Road experience and became a Christian, his name was changed to Paul, because he felt that he was now really the minister to the Gentiles, and so he had a Roman name, Paul. What about Simon? Simon later became known as Peter. Jesus himself changed his name when Simon said the famous confession of that Christ is Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus said at Caesarea Philippi, "Upon this rock," or this foundational statement of faith, "I will build my church." And he changed Simon's name to Peter, which means rock. There are so many others we could talk about. For example, Jacob, when he was born, you may remember that he was holding on to the ankle of his brother as they came out of the womb. And Jacob really means usurper, because he was trying to usurp the place of his brother as the firstborn. We know that he even lied to get the blessing, lied to his father. He was literally usurping the rightful blessing of the firstborn, which he was not. But then later, after he wrestled with the angel of the Lord, his name was changed to Israel. Israel means 2 things, actually. It means he who wrestles with God, which he literally did when he was wrestling with the angel, and also it means prince. And he is known as the father of the ancient nation of Israel. A couple other things to keep in mind. When you're reading all those kings in 1st and 2nd Kings and 1st and 2nd Chronicles, anytime you read the name of a king with an E-L, particularly on the end of it, like Jerubbaal, or another name like that, E-L is short for Elohim, which is a name of the Jewish God. It's not the covenant, the personal name of God, that's Yahweh, but it is the God of creation and the God that emphasizes power and authority. One last interesting thing about names is, you remember the 3 boys in the fire, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Those were not their first names. Those are Babylonian names that were given to them when they were exiled. Well, when they were taken, they were the royal line, remember, of Israel. And when Babylon took over Judah, they exported many of the ruling family members to Babylon, gave them very high up positions in the government, and in order to keep them from rebelling, gave them those positions and incorporated them into the court of Babylon. One of the things that they did is they changed their names from the Hebrew names, which often had in it, the root of the names, a homage to the Jewish God, and gave them new names that incorporated the deities of the Babylonians. A great example of that is Abednego. I hope you've enjoyed this look at names in the Bible. There are so many more that we could talk about, but names matter in the Bible and elsewhere. I'm Lenora Bresler. Visit me tomorrow on the Bible, Delight in the Details, as we continue to look at things which you need to consider when studying a Bible passage. Go out and make it a great day.